Oh, man, I think it's very devastating. KD is means a lot to a lot of basketball players, a lot of fans around the world, and just watching him go down was very sad. And I've been knowing KD since he was in high school. I actually met him at an NBA camp in high school, and I sat down with him. I said, "Yo, you got a chance to be one of the best NBA players ever." So I'm really happy for his success, but it hurts to see him go down like this.
Were you surprised when you saw him out there last night? Did you think he would be back sooner or not at all in this series?
I wasn't surprised. This is the championship. It's for the championship, and he wants to win. And, as an athlete, you want to get out there and play, even though you might not be 100%. You want to show the world, you want to show everybody, like, hey, I can play, and I want to come back and help this team win.
I think there's only a few players that can potentially relate to Kevin Durant. You talked about you guys in high school. You're ascended, man, the accolades you had early, both of you, in the same breath. With the lack of respect, KD, same for yourself. You could see himself forcing out there, but I'm going to go to the team. Do you put the team at fault for forcing him, or are you just saying, as an athlete, I'm trying to get out there with my teammates?
Man, well, we don't know the inside of the situation, but, as an athlete, you want to play. It's the finals. Your team is down 3-1. You're the best player in the world. You got to go out there and try to play. That's what everybody wants, So I think sometimes you got to be selfish and say, hey, I'm not ready. And that's the hard part, because you want to get out there and show everybody that you can play, because it's like if you don't, you got the whole world like, why didn't you play?
Okay, now I can look back on it. He's gotten cleared. He didn't make it through a regulation NBA practice. Do you see yourself ever being put in a competition like that? Because there's a protocol. You're going to be doing physical therapy. You'll be cleared for contact. You get on the court, and then after you get on the court, you determine, hey, if after that 24 hours, did it flare up? Did I have any worse problems? That right there, I think, becomes a tricky situation. What would you have done in that situation?
Man, I would have tried to play, but I don't think that's the right decision. I tried it this year. I had some early problems throughout the season to where, I couldn't even put my shoes on before the game. So guys had to help me with that. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to get on the train, the plane, whatever we had to do to travel. But I just wanted to play and be there for my teammates. So at this point, you got to be selfish for your career, because it should be about you.
And you were obviously at this point, and this with no disrespect at all, we were talking before the show how much I respect what you've done over the course of your career, at a different place in your career than KD is right now.
Correct.
But we can go back to when you were in a similar place KD is in, which is when you got moved to the Lakers, and the expectations, you and Kobe and Nash, and it was, and that year to me was the start of people denigrating you as a player because you played through an injury. People forget.
Yeah,
I don't.
two of them.
Right. You had a torn up shoulder.
Torn labrum.
Torn labrum. And I think you led the league in rebounding anyway, but you weren't as dominant as people had grown accustomed to seeing. And so you're out there, they don't care if you're injured. How much for you was there the internal pressure, but how much of it was external, even if it's not from teammates, but from seeing people on shows like this or reading the LA Times, whatever it is? Why isn't Dwight Howard doing more? Why isn't Dwight Howard out there? And how does that affect your decision to play or to shut yourself down when you're dealing with two torn labrums, or in KD's case, a torn up calf muscle?
Well, I think the best thing you could do is really just look out for yourself. You can't worry about what everybody else is saying, and that's really hard. Because as an athlete, you want to get out there and play. You want to prove and show to everybody that, hey, despite this injury that I have, I can still play through it. But you also have that risk of never playing again. And I remember the first time I hurt my back, and the doctor saying I would never play again. So for me, I was like, man, why did I do this? And so you want to make sure you do what's best for you at all times, even though it could hurt, even though it could mess you up in the future. You want to do what's best for you, and that's all you can ask for.
All right, let's get back to the game last night. You have KD's injury in the second quarter. You have the Warriors now, who were on the brink of elimination, somehow on the road come out, and you see what Klay and Steph were able to do. Was last night more about what the Warriors did, or was it what the Raptors could not do?
Well, I don't think the Raptors played a good game. I think they missed a lot of shots, and I think they got caught up in the moment of hey, if we
Here
win
we
this
are.
game,
Yeah.
we're champions. And you could tell every shot they had, it was like, man, they were nervous. So I think they're going to go back and just really handle business for the next game.
You think the Raptors are going to go back and handle business for the next game?
I do. I think they're the better team in this series. If you look at the roster that they have, it's guys who have fallen to the Warriors before, but they have experience against them. You know, you look at Serge when he played with OKC. You look at Gasol in Memphis. They've had some success against Golden State. And then you look at Kawhi and Danny Green. So you got 3 teams combined with one now who have that experience of playing against a team like Golden State on how to beat them. And they've actually done a really good job. And I think the newer version of Draymond Green and Siakam has had an amazing year. And everything that team has done, you know, this season, I think they deserve, you know, a championship for all their hard work.
Toronto's led by one player. That's Kawhi Leonard. Describe to us, as basketball fans, what we're seeing on the biggest stage, what we've seen in the finals from him.
Man, he's doing some amazing things. I never really had a chance to play against Kawhi away from Tim Duncan, Manu, and all those guys, so it was pretty hard to judge him playing against him at that point. But now he's doing everything. He's all over the place, and he's efficient. And I really like how he plays. He's hardworking, and it's like he doesn't have a smile or frown, and he's just the same way the whole game. So I think Tim Duncan has rubbed off on him. So is Pops, and he's doing an amazing job, and I'm really happy for him.
You mentioned that when you were in high school, or when KD was in high school, you had just gotten to the league. Kevin Durant, by high school, people were saying this guy could be an all-time great.
Oh, yeah.
You, straight out of high school, #1 pick of the draft. We talked about LeBron, the other great players in this league. Then there's Kawhi, who's the 15th pick from a smaller school. And even when you played against him in that era, he was a great defensive player. No one saw this coming.
Correct.
What do you make of his progression as a player? And in your experience around the league, how rare is it for a guy who was never projected to be league MVP in the discussion for best player in the world to work his way into that category?
Well, I think the league is all about opportunity and system. And the first couple of years he had in San Antonio playing behind, you know, Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker and those guys, he didn't have a chance to really be that guy, you know, so he's learning from all these guys. I think he took parts of each and every one of those guys' games to become the player that he is today. So now that he has an opportunity to be on the biggest level, and he is in the right system, he has the right pieces behind him, and he's just showing the world his hard work. You know, if you ask anybody around the league, Kawhi is one of those guys that really works hard in the gym. He's a machine. And those days in the gym that nobody sees, they pay off. And even, you know, coming in after practice, getting shots up, all the little things that you have to do to take care of your body, you can see he's doing it, and that's why he's so successful.
So where do you think he's going to be successful next year?
To me, I think he should stay in Toronto.
Why?
Because he took the team to the finals, you know. So if he win, why would he go anywhere else? I think he'll be able to live in Toronto forever and not have to ever spend a dime. I think he can move his whole family to Toronto and live there for the rest of his life.
Get the keys to the city.
I respect that. And a guy that's moved around, when you look back on history, what should KD do? And does that decision change because of the injury last night?
I think it does change because of the injury. And I heard what you said earlier, but Achilles injury is very big, you know. And
is that the way when you're training or when you're talking to NBA players? Is that the fear? NFL players, especially a wide receiver, man, you go across that middle, man, my ACL can be, man, my hamstring, all that, man, don't mess with my neck. Because I don't want to play football with the fear of my neck. Is it the Achilles in basketball?
Achilles in the back. Those are the two hardest injuries that, well, I mean, you can't really say. Every injury is bad.
Right.
But, you know, if you have an Achilles
if you have an
injury,
18, you get some injuries on your feet.
Yeah. It's really bad, you know. So For him, man, he just has to get healthy right now. I think that's the only thing that he should be concerned with is making sure he gets healthy. And I know free agency is coming up, but you don't want to stress yourself out right now. You really have to focus on how can I get healthy and not rush it because it can be tough.
Okay, you were real quick to tell us where Kawhi should play next year. Let me throw a name out there. I'll throw 3 names out there real quick, top of your head. Where does Kyrie play next year?
He might go back with LeBron.
Ooh-wee's not a spot.
I was like, and it wasn't too quick either.
I was gonna say the Lakers or New York. Lakers in New York.
Okay, and you have Kawhi staying in Toronto. KD is where?
KD. Oh man, why are you doing this to me
Come on,
today?
because we sit here every day and talk
alluding to
about
this.
it.
We ended up talking about the Achilles and the importance of this, but you were halfway through an answer on. You said that the injury could affect his free agency decision. Can you expand on, like, KD you thought was directed where, and now with the injury might be directed where?
Well, only because, when you have the injury, it takes a season almost to heal, so you don't want to, like, I don't think a team would want to wait for KD to get healthy for the playoffs because you don't know what's going to happen while he's in the playoffs. So that's going to be a risk for any team as great as a player as KD is. You want a healthy KD. And I just want nothing but the best for him. And any team he go to, I'll be rooting for him.
What do you think Anthony Davis went through this year? And apologies.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, he doesn't have the decision. It's not about where he's going to go.
He was gonna end.
But what do you think Anthony Davis went through this season? As a guy that once upon a time, after being drafted by a team, said, you know what? And you had more success in Orlando, a hell of a lot more than Anthony Davis had in New Orleans, and you still said, you know what? This isn't it for me anymore. And you got criticized for that. Anthony Davis, who had never been criticized seemingly for anything, essentially demands a trade, and all of a sudden people are coming for him. What do you think that was like this year, and how do you think that ends up?
I think it was hard for him as a player because it has nothing to do with the team or the city. Like, the players
they take it that way.
Like, why he want to leave us? I think it's a business decision that he wants to do for himself and his family. And I think that's the only thing that should really matter. And it's not saying, hey, we don't like our fans or anything like that, but we have to make the best decision for our basketball life and career. And he has some amazing years in New Orleans, and I don't think anybody should say, oh, why is he doing us like this when he's giving New Orleans hope. He's taking them places that, they haven't been since Chris Paul. And I think he deserved credit for that and not being punished for saying he wants to leave. Everybody has their reason for leaving. And it's just like if somebody decides to go from Walmart to Target, who has a regular job, you can do what you want to do with your life. But he's going to do what's best for him, and the team is going to do what's best for them. So,
well, that's a good segue because now I want to talk about the Lakers, and they've been playing like Walmart. But do you think
not true.
Do you think the draw? And I've been a Lakers fan since I was a kid. Brother got drafted there when I was in the 9th grade, so I know the lure of the
Great.
Yeah, when he was in the 9th grade.
I know. I was like in the 70s.
It's 1980. Yeah, I'm willing to put my family's track record up against anyone else, but that's not the subject here. Is the Lakers still the draw on players the way it has always been? All right, and you're a player in the league, and you're a player that played for the Lakers.
Correct. I don't know if they're the draw anymore. I think now guys understand that it doesn't really matter where you play. The era that we live in, the social media age, you can play anywhere and get attention. And I think a lot of guys want to win championships for their prospective cities, so they can say, I was the first to do it here instead of going along with doing it where everybody's already done it. So I don't think they have that same,
I have 2 quick ones for you. One is, do you think LeBron is a draw for people to go play with LeBron? You competed against him in the East throughout the beginning of your career.
I think guys do want to play with him only because he's going to really elevate, it depends on who the player is and the style they play. He can really elevate them to the next level.
And last one, I'm going to do a right turn here. I wasn't going to talk about how historically underrated you are, but everyone that has a brain knows it. Top 50 all-time player, first ballot Hall of Famer. Instead, I want to talk about your idea that I can't believe you didn't want to ask him about. Our guy Chris Carter has been promoting this idea. You're a slam dunk champion, one of the greatest slam dunk competitions. Slam dunk competitions kind of lost some luster as of late. What do you think of this? You have on one side of the court the best dunkers in the NBA. The other side of the court, the best dunkers who ain't in the NBA. We don't know where they are. Street ballers, YouTube legends, maybe.
If we have to post bail to get a couple of
exactly
them out,
right.
we willing to do it. Sam Quinton,
I think those
they
guys
just did
might,
that special
I think
with
those
KD.
guys might win.
Right. Well, so you have a bracket. So you have a bracket.
Only because they're well, I don't want to say they're just dunkers, but that's what they do for a living. So for us, you know, we have season and all that stuff, and by the time we get to the dunk contest, we don't have no legs.
Right.
Those guys are fresh because this is.
So if you did that,
it seems like you're already making up an excuse.
No, I'm not
like
making
some
up
dude
an
coming
excuse.
off the street taking your cash. That's what it seemed like, bro.
I don't want to say they can win.
right? Yeah,
I'm agreeing with
and
you.
So
yeah.
let's call it $1 million cash at center court.
Dang.
Winner,
You're in. You back in the slam dunk? Yeah, you back in it?
Let the man think it through.
You know what? I
commercial
actually
break.
thought about it last year, getting back in the dunk contest. I still had some dunks that I wanted to do for the dunk contest. So,
Okay, I like it.
I done
Quite
slim down.
possibly.
Slim down.
Get my legs right. I might make a return for the dunk contest.
God
Dwight-
knows you don't need an extra $1 million to put with the rest of that money. Good Lord.
Thank you so much
God
for
knows
hanging
you
out
check
with us today. A lot
to get it
of fun.
cash.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.